Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Caesar Place, and welcome to another week of Jujutsu Kaisen, the Shibuya Incident arc. As you can tell from the title of this video, I'm actually doing two episodes in one video overview, Thunderclap Part 1 and Thunderclap Part 2. The main reason was because I was kind of left a little bit speechless after the first part of Thunderclap, last week's episode. It was pretty much just to summarize everything that I wanted in this fight. The Toji conclusion fight with the Sukuna versus Jogo fight, everything from the animation to the voicing to the momentum, everything was what I wanted, and I was kind of left a little bit, like I said, speechless. It was incredible. I'm going to go a little bit deeper into that in a second, but it was just, I was left a little bit in a weird position because I know that I shouldn't be putting the whole behind the scenes stuff in. I know I shouldn't let it affect me as much as it currently actually is affecting me, but it's a little bit bothersome, and I don't want to make this video about me complaining about Studio Mappa or anything. There's a video for that I already made about animation studios in general, but it's just crazy how good the quality of this episode was, and it just left me a little bit conflicted when wanting to talk and compliment it, because at the end of the day, I do want to give props to all the animators who worked on it and everybody who worked to make these two episodes happen. But it sucks a little that the situation with the studio is at the point where it is, and especially after the recent news, which I again don't want to really go into all that much because I'm here to talk about the show and the episodes and about what my thoughts on this past 2 weeks were. Now, I just wanted to get that at least out that way. That whole little shenanigan. Oh, there's a hair on my mic. I just wanted to get that out the way. So obviously, huge props to the animators on both these episodes. But still, just I hope the Mappa situation gets better over time. I really sincerely do. All that aside, putting that out the way, because I decided not to make a video last week, I decided, and after watching this week's episode, I decided to do one thing that I haven't done in a very long time, and that is watch part 1 and part 2 together after watching them separately, obviously. Rarely do I watch anime to the point where I see like a part 1 and part 2 of a little arc or a little sequence, and rarely do I say, all right, that was so good, let me go and rewatch both of them together and see if that impacts my perspective on the episode or the sequence at all. And I want to say that if you haven't, then try and give it a try. Just give it a try. Just watch Thunderclap Part 1 and Part 2 back to back, because it's closer to it. It felt like it should have been an OVA or like a mini movie. That's what I just want to put out there. I was telling all my friends and all the people that I know that watch the show that I wasn't sure if they were going to be able to up Thunderclap 1 last week's episode with this week's episode, but I am very happily surprised that I don't know, like I don't want to say that one episode is better than the other, no, but it's just I was surprised at how good Thunderclap Part 2 was as well. I knew the Mahoraga fight was going to be great. I really, really did. But the way they went all out with the emotions and the feelings and the action and the animation and the music and the editing, phenomenal. I almost want to say that I like it more than part 1, but that's only because I have a bias towards Toji in general as a character that I really wouldn't say that. But I think low-key, yeah, I do like part 2 more than I do part 1. If I have to throw my bias away. Though I will say that part 2 was a little bit more action heavy, It doesn't take away the fact that there were emotional and character-driven moments in this second part that were sometimes even stronger than part one. I want to say part two over part one. But as you could tell from this whole little 5-minute introduction that I just did, yeah, no, it was crazy. It was interesting. It was interesting. Like I can't. I have no words to really describe it other than the words that I'm just putting out. Brilliant, amazing, phenomenal. Those are words I'm just throwing out there because this was a real experience. And I'm not sure, and I said this last week about this week's episode, so please prove me wrong, but I'm not sure how they're going to be able to top these episodes. But there are few anime moments in my life where anime episodes in my life where I'm like, these are going to be episodes that when I get bored and I just want to watch something, these are the episodes like out of context that I'm just going to go to and rewatch just for fun. And these two episodes are there. These two episodes are it. These are some of my favorite anime episodes ever. Period. Just pacing, animation, music, voice acting, everything. So like, yeah, as you can tell, I'm super excited. I was super excited about this. And I really did want to talk about last week's episode. I really wanted to make a video last week, but I just got super caught up with work, life, and at some point just like feeling bummed out with the whole situation of what's going on with Mappa and whatnot. But all that out the way, I'm going to try and do this again and finally start this overview. So, Thunderclap Part 1. I'm going to try and concise this episode this video as much as I can. I really don't want it to go to a 30-minute episode. But episode 1, Jesus Christ, like, you start off with such an amazing little sequence of Jogo just saying, like, I knew he was stronger, but I just didn't realize how strong he really was. And it's just like a little introduction. Like, I want to say like 15 to 20-second introduction. And you just see Jogo flying in the air and Sukuna like this creepiest, scariest little sequence of Sukuna getting close to him, like speeding to him. And it's incredible and it's fun to have these two fights together, the Toji versus Fushiguro fight versus Megami fight together, and the Jogo versus Sukuna fight together in this episode. Because people did point this out as well in the past, in the manga and in the anime right now, that Jogo is a crazy strong cursed womb spirit. He seemed weak because he had to fight the two of the strongest creatures in the JJK universe. He had to fight Gojo and he had to fight Sukuna. Of course he's gonna look weak compared to them, but if you think about it, he took out like Nanami, he took out Naobito, so like with like nothing. And then yes, people will argue that they were weak and whatnot, but still Naobito was at a point where he was still the fastest sorcerer out there, and he would, if it wasn't Jogo, he would have gotten hit. But Jogo found a way to counter Naobito last episode. I just want to put that out there. Then we switch over to what's his name again? Kushikabe, I believe is his name, and Panda, which this is a sequence that really weirded me out a little bit. I don't mean that in a good or bad way. Just in general, just put me a little bit weirdly off, because the animation clearly takes a different direction here, which is fine. It doesn't make it any bad. I'm just saying that it just takes a different direction than I was expecting. And Panda, even though he was always a little bit of like a comedic aspect or a little bit of comedic character, the animation here seems placed off way more goofy and comedic than what I would have expected. The voice acting, the lines are pretty much what the manga was, from what I remember. And the dialogue wasn't the goofy part about it. It was just the way he was being animated and drawn out. Again, this doesn't mean it's a good or bad thing. It's just that it stood out for me in comparison to the rest of the episode. It's basically just that little sequence, just Kushikabe and Panda just like talking a little bit. Kushikabe, it's very clear that he's just trying to stalk. He doesn't want to get involved with like the main fights of the Shibuya incident. So he's just telling Panda like, "Hey man, like listen, there's other stuff that we need to worry about other than Gojo right now. There's other civilians that we gotta take care of, and this and that and all that." And Panda is just agreeing with it, like, "Yeah, you're right." And it's just low key Kushikabe just being a coward, really. To which, let me see if this happens because I have the episode right over here with me. To which then they actually get confronted by some of the followers from the OG Ghetto Sama. Some of the people of the sorcerers that he saved, the Ghetto saved, ended up splitting up, as we find out through the flashback sequence in this episode, and they form different factions. One of them who wants to rescue Ghetto's body, or basically, I guess, salvage his body by defeating the deity or the curse spirit that's in it. And then the other group of followers that said, you know what, we're just going to continue his will. What he wanted to achieve, we're just going to try and pursue it. Even though it's going to be super difficult, seeing how the only reason and the only way Geto was able to accomplish it was because he was a special great curse user. He had a broken ability, which now that curse spirit has in his possession. That was the only reason why, and the only way he could have achieved his goal that he wanted to achieve of like a perfect sorcerer world. So Kushikabe gets confronted by them and Panda, and then switched over to basically just the fight of Megumin versus Toji, which by itself is just one of those crazy sequences of just a lot of action going on. Megumin is clearly overwhelmed in this fight. He clearly can't keep up too much. There was a point where I think he was going to do the Jade Hound Dog sign. He was about to summon the shadow, the Shikigami wolves. But then as soon as he realized what he was up against, he just switched up to the fleeting hairs. And I don't recall, I think most of it is still pretty manga accurate, but I just don't recall a lot of it because it just flashed so fast in the manga, in my opinion. But the animation does such an excellent job in just showing off how broken Toji is in this fight. Just the idea of him being surrounded by a bunch of these Shikigami hairs, or rabbits, sorry, and him stomping on the ground, the debris going in the air, and all these rabbits that were about to like jump him. He just so fast that he can push, like throw basically in a way, but with his finger he can push the brick pieces through these rabbits and kill all of them. That to me, that was such a cool, crazy part. And it just becomes very, very clear, very obvious that Megumin is no match for him. And so Megumin has to find a way to get around him. And he does. He finds a way to, in a way, almost get to Toji. That was going to be this final attack where Toji was really going for the killing blow. And Megumin, basically what he ends up doing is he ends up summoning a sword from his shadow pocket, I guess, his shadow storage. And he uses one of the hairs on the floor side to basically sink Toji a little bit under the ground. So where Toji was aiming for in Megumin's body, it basically shifted the direction over to a less vital organ, so that Megumin could take advantage and get a hit in. Surprise attack, I guess. Surprise counter. But Toji's too good, and he is too fast, and he reads up on that and just ends up dodging anyway. Only to get one of the best sequences in these two episodes, I feel, and that is Toji realizing who he's up against, his body realizing who he's up against, and that is his son. And then we get the beautiful little question of like, hey, what's your name? And he says Fushiguro, To which Toji replies, "Not ascending, huh? I'm glad," and then just proceeds to just shorten himself. I just say that because I don't want to get banned by YouTube here. And Megumin obviously confused as hell. He doesn't understand what's going on, and when he does go to the body to try and see and try to understand the situation, the body turns back to the son of the old lady who Toji originally possessed. Beautiful fight, beautiful sequence, a lot of little moments which I absolutely love. Like I told you, I told you guys, the hair thing was amazing. The flashback sequence, the animation was still super on point here. After that, we get a little flashback of Ghetto's old group members, and then we switch over to the Jogo versus Sukuna fight, which it was just a one-handed ass whooping from Sukuna's part. The idea was that if Sukuna got hit once by Jogo, he would listen to him and his pals and be their, I guess, their muscle. But he had to get one hit in, and Sukuna is just using this as a little like sparring match. The way Jogo gets abused in this episode is just crazy. So much goes on. Like you see, like Sukuna at some point, like fire skating against on the street. You see blocks being melted. There's a little moment in the episode too where they have like a thermometer on the city, I guess, in Shibuya, and it just rises because Jogo is just upping up the heat in the entire location. You see like lava hands grabbing two buildings and mashing them together. It's just chaos everywhere. You see Sukuna throwing Jogo through buildings, and then at some point, I guess Jogo has to resort to one last attack, and that is like this huge meteorite that's going to fall on the whole city. And he's like, Sukuna cannot possibly avoid this. He will have to leave the perimeter to not get hit by this. I guess in a way, kind of underestimating Sukuna's speed and strength, or to which then we switch back to Kushikabe, Panda, and two Ghetto followers, and they realize what's going on. I mean, it was Kushikabe who realized this, who basically sums it up very nicely. Hey, there's two curse spirits, like two like high level great curse spirits out there fighting it for whatever reason. He doesn't even understand why. And for whatever reason, it's basically like two elephants tap dancing right now, and we're just ants in the middle of all this. We need to get away. And as soon as they're going to leave the perimeters, Sukuna shows up. None of you guys are leaving until I say so. You're like, he gave them the opportunity to leave. He gave them the opportunity to just disappear and dodge the attack if they wanted to, but it had to be under his conditions, which is something that I feel like we've seen Sukuna do multiple times. And that is when it comes to like fightings, he likes to put a condition, I guess, under the fight. Like let's say with Joe, he said, "Hey, I'll fight you. If you hit me, then I'll work for you guys. This condition right over here, hey, you guys can leave. However, only when I tell you so." I'm not sure if that's just something about his character of like putting conditions during fights. But yeah, claps his hands, gives him the opportunity to run away, and then you realize that Jogo realizes that Sukuna actually didn't get hit at all. And then you get this cool little sequence where, for everybody to find out, I knew about it because of manga reading, obviously, but that apparently Sukuna also, aside from his cutting curse technique, his real curse technique was fire-based, I guess. And he also possesses the fire curse technique, which then you have like a Mexican standoff in a way of Jogo and Sukuna facing each other and saying like, all right, let's do this. Like, let's see which ones of our fire curse techniques is the strongest. And they aim the attack at each other, and you just get a little moment of Jogo, I guess, apologizing to Dagon and Hanami about his loss, only for Sukuna to tell him like, "Nah, man, you were actually be proud. You were actually pretty strong compared to all those spirits and all the people that I fought in my past. That was good." And Jogo starts crying. Mainly, there's a lot I could go into, but I would just keep on blabbering about just because of the explanation about how Jogo, in a way, just resented humans and how he wanted to be like them. He wanted to create a society and live, I guess, happily as well. Um, as part of the reason why he was doing what he was doing, and also the fact that in the manga, at least, it wasn't too clear whether it was maybe like some form of compassion from Juji himself, just coming out and actually saying it so that Joe would feel better, because Yuji is the one that's generally more compassionate towards other beings and other people, or if it was really Sukuna. I think we got confirmation now with the manga that it was indeed Sukuna saying these words to Jogo, which is a super off character in my opinion for Sukuna compared to what we've seen. He has some form of respect and some form of like, he's not like I'm just evil, and I want to cause chaos everywhere. No, he's not that kind of character. But at the same time, it felt kind of off character for a second, since we've mostly seen that like a super selfish guy, and him talking to Yogo the way he did, it didn't feel like something he would take time to do, at least. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then yeah, Jogo loses. He just gets burned completely, and you just see like a corpse basically. Now I need a bit of water for this next sequence, though. So sorry. But yeah, the Thunderclap Part 2. There's not much else I can really say about this. Like I said, this is a anime. How do you call it? An action heavy sequence. Basically, one thing that happened in Thunderclap 1 that I forgot to talk about was that towards the end of the episode, Fushiguro is trying to run away, trying to go back to get healed, only to have that ponytail bastard. No, I can't say curse words on these YouTube videos. Only to have that guy basically slash him in the back, and now you're realizing that Fushiguro is actually in danger. Which is the start of this Part 2 episode, where he's still following him, and Fushiguro is low-key plotting something. What he does, and I think they in Crunchyroll they call him Makora. I think that's what I read, but I'm gonna call him based on the translated manga name that I've always read for the longest time, and that's Mahogara. He's basically plotting on summoning the strongest Shikigami that he can. Now, the idea about a Shikigami, in order to control them, you have to be able to defeat them. And this is a Shikigami that he hasn't been strong enough to defeat, therefore control. And he purposely is doing this because either way he's out otherwise. Either way, this ponytail guy is gonna like get him. I'm saying call him ponytail guy because I keep forgetting his name, but either way he's done for otherwise. So his best bet is to, you know what, self-sacrifice. He even tells him, hey, yo, he puts this condition basically that it's a ritual that both, in order for Mahogara to disappear, both them have to be defeated. Both Fushiguro and Ponytail antagonist. So both of them have to die for Mahogara to disappear. And then he tells him, I'm done for regardless. So when he is able to summon Mahogara, he's the first one to get knocked out against the wall and supposedly is at death's door. This antagonist realizes what's going on and is like, oh crap, I need to get out of here. And Sukuna from far away, he can sense what's going on. To which we also get a little flashback sequence of Fushiguro talking to Gojo about how the Ascending clan and the Gojo clan had issues with one another. And it had to do with the idea that that at some point they fought. The strongest among them fought, and one of the sorcerers from the Zenin clan that fought the Gojo's clan's Six Eyes was someone who used the 10 shadow technique, just like Fushiguro, which implies that Fushiguro has the potential to be even stronger or even beat Gojo at some point, which is a really cool thing to think about. History repeating itself and whatnot, or that there's potential for that. But like I said, Fushiguro, he gets knocked out completely. He's basically at death's door. And then we also find out a little bit more about Ponytail Guy's apparently unaware curse technique, and that is him being able to store up miracles. Not miracles, but being able to store up manifest. What is that? He stocks up miracles. Anytime something bad's gonna happen, and he manages to avoid it, and he gets lucky, he stores that up, and then when he's actually at death's door at some point, he unintentionally uses it to, I guess, survive, which is again super crazy idea, a super crazy technique, even though he's not even aware of it that he can do that. I guess he's just going clueless around with it. But yeah, then at some point Mahogara is about to get this guy, and Sukuna jumps in and saves them. And he's trying to read the situation. He's trying to understand what's going on, and he understands that that despite that Megumin is knocked out completely, Mahogara is still awake. And so therefore, it's almost like remoteless Shikigami control. And he understands rather quickly that the conditions for Mahogara to have disappeared was if both of them died. Both Megumin and our antagonist died. So he was right to basically save him. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to fight Mahogara. He saves Megumin because he needs Megumin alive for some reason, which we'll find out in the future. Because his idea is he's gonna keep Megumin alive. He needs to keep Megumin Fushiguro alive long enough for his whatever his plan is. Yeah, despite the condition for Mahogara being to disappearing, being that they both have to pass away. So therefore, Sukuna has to defeat Mahogara. That's the only other way, and it has to be someone from outside the ritual. I think that's how it's explained. So Sukuna is a perfect candidate for this. I'm gonna kind of try and just skim through this fight real quick, just because I'm already recording 30 minutes worth of conversation. But the fight is so cool. Just watch it for yourself. There's not much to say. Just non-stop building, destroying, civilian casualties everywhere. There's a point where Mahogara throws like a broken top of a building over at Sukuna, and Sukuna just it's crazy because Sukuna just aims almost. I think it's almost like a pistol that he aims at the air, and just that whole piece of the top of the building just gets cut up in pieces, and chunks just fly everywhere, destroying the city all around him. And I think he even bows down at some point while he's on the sign. Like it's like, hey, look what I've done. You're welcome. An airplane flies down. There's people all around, and they're all just all disappearing, and Sukuna, like Mahogara is keeping up with Sukuna, which is incredible, to which Sukuna starts to understand what Mahogara's ability is, and that is the ability to adapt to any technique. If for those of you that read comic books, he's basically Doomsday. Only that he doesn't have to die to adapt. This cursed spirit, just while in mid-fight, he adapts to the cursed spirit if given enough preparation and time as well. But Sukuna finds a way around it. He understands the technique, and he also says something very, very interesting, which correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he implies that the style of the technique that Mahogara uses, or maybe even Mahogara itself, was a technique that has been used to stop Sukuna in the past, and maybe that's how he got cut up into fingers and defeated. I think maybe Mahogara was the creature that did it, and maybe that's why Sukuna is so interested in Fushiguro. Uh, Again, just anime only watchers, just keep this in mind. Gojo stated that Megumin basically implied that Megumin has the potential to surpass him. Sukuna does not like Gojo at all. He told him, "Next time I see you, you're done. Next time you and I fight, it's over for you." Uh, and again, Fushiguro has the potential to surpass Gojo. I wonder what Sukuna is planning. But first, before that, he has to get rid of Mahogara. And I think, and I could be wrong, like again, this is just a lot of technique explanation that goes down in this episode as well, in these past two episodes. And one of them, I think what Sukuna ends up doing is, because Mahogara can adapt to his cleave technique, what he does is he does a domain expansion. And it's crazy how I think the way his domain is explained is that there's no barrier around it. That is, they describe it like painting in air. Like I think there's only like a 400-meter radius or something like that, but there's no veil around it. You can't see where it is, and it cuts everything everywhere. But then he also adds a little bit of extra touch, and that is his fire curse technique, which I think that's something that Mahogara wasn't used to fighting this whole time because he didn't use it once. So I think he just cuts him so much and burns him so much to the point where Mahogara has no way of recovering at all from this. And he does it. He beats Mahogara. He healed up Fushiguro. He beats Mahogara. At some point, you see the blonde ponytail hair guy trying to leave. Sukuna basically tells him, "Hey, what are you still doing here? Just get off of my side." And him, super happy, running away, thinking that it's over, still ends up passing away due to the fact that apparently all the miracles that he had stored up had been used during his fight against Nanami. So at the end of the day, Nanami still got the last laugh in a way in this, again, his fight against him. In a way, Nanami did beat him, because if Nanami didn't fight this guy, he would have still been alive right now, I think. So Nanami did, in a way, help create the finishing blow. And you get a very touching, heartbreaking sequence of Sukuna realizing that he is starting to lose control over Yuji's body. First of all, he brings Fushiguro over to the medic and the principal so they could heal him. And then he goes back to the incident where everything happens, where he and Mahogara just lay down chaos and malice, and shows Yuji what his body has done. Not Yuji himself, but his body. And you get this very, very ominous shot of sequences of all the flashbacks of like everything that Sukuna did while he was under Yuji's body's control, and just shows it to Yuji. Yuji starts remembering, and a really messed up sequence happened where Yuji's like he pukes out of I guess depression, I guess anxiety. He starts puking all over the floor and starts scraping his fingers, bloodied fingers, down on the concrete, which is painful. And just says that he should be the one to die. He should not be around here anymore. He shouldn't be alive. Like he starts having a mental breakdown, which would be obvious because he starts realizing all the chaos and all the people that he probably did. Um, it is super sad, super messed up, and just to see the whole space of Sukuna's domain. And mind you, I didn't explain it earlier because I was saying how the domain basically attacked Mahogara, but basically everything in that domain got cut up into bits and pieces. It's like putting things in a shredder, in a grinder. It just and the dust coming out from the other side. That's basically what happened in that domain. So any bystanders, any civilians, any pieces of rubble, anything, got all of it got broken up, got destroyed, demolished. And Jujutsu is just over here staring at that empty, hollow space. To which he finally draws the conclusion that I have to finish this. I have to continue fighting. I have to continue fighting because if I don't, I'm just a murderer. He's trying to find a reason to make up for it, and it shifts over to a little bit of like Gege's Akatami, I believe is his last name. It's original like manga style almost. When he says, "I have to go, I have to fight," or else, and then it shifts to black, and then you see the title screen, Jujutsu Kaisen Shibuya Incident. I'm just a murderer. Like, in the subtitles, excellent editing. But that's not the last gut punch that we get. Last gut punch that we're getting in this episode is Nanami walking down a hallway with his body half burned, half destroyed. Well, not destroyed, but half burned off. And it shifts over to the ED, end credits. This episode, I mean, I know this is a shonen, but this episode felt a little bit different than a shonen. It felt more like one of those side anime project things, I want to say, in the sense that it didn't end on a good note or a happy note. It didn't end with hope. It ended on a very depressing note. It ended a little bit more on one of those more depressing kind of animes that I wouldn't consider a shonen, and I'm saying this from my time of watching anime. Like it ended a little bit like almost bittersweet, even though it's not finished, and the Shibuya incident is still not done. But the way this ended, it felt, with the music and everything. You hear the opening song playing when Yuji sees the destruction that Sukuna caused. It felt different, which is what I love and appreciate about these two episodes. Which is why I've been talking so long about it. It should technically be, this video should be technically 2 20-minute videos, I guess. But it was just phenomenal. It's great to witness. It's great to experience this in front of my eyes. When I watched Thunderclap Part 1, I almost cried a little bit because of how good it was. I got the same amount of excitement as when I first watched Avengers Endgame in theaters with everyone who loved watching it. I just got the same amount of excitement and hype because of how good it was. And even with the second episode, the second part as well, Thunderclap Part 2 far exceeded my expectations. I'm not gonna lie. It's crazy how good these two episodes were and how much fun I've had with them. And the everything from the animation to, I think there's a moment when Toji sticks the stick in his head that you see on the animation from the perspective that they shoot, like his hand being all clean, and the second it happens, you see the splatter on his hand. Details like that are just thrown all over in these two episodes. Love for animation, love for details, love for motion, the voice acting, the music, the coloring, it's just such a, it's just me. Oh my god, I just keep hyping this thing up. I think I should really just end this video at this point. I'm just gonna give these two episodes an easy 9 out of 10 each. Not 10 out of 10 because there were little details that I wish would have been a little bit better, but beggars can't be choosers at the end of the day. And on top of that, just seeing where the situation is with like the animation studios and whatnot, and how much time they actually got to create these episodes, it's just mind-boggling and it's still a little heartbreaking. So I'm super still, mind you, 9 out of 10 is still amazing. I'm just super happy with how they turned out. I can't wait for next week too, because we're still not at the climax of the season. There's still more things to come, and I really do hope that Mappa gets their ish together, and I hope there's animation staff gets treated a little bit better. And even if we have to take a break from the anime for like a couple of weeks just so that we can get the final episodes nicely produced, I wouldn't mind it. Just give the animators the time to do it. Don't have them rush things out, because a rush project is not always a good one. And as much as I love Marvel, for example, and the MCU, like you can tell that right now, rushing projects out just for getting things out the way is not a great idea. A little bit of a break and time to revisit and rethink things is always helpful. All that being said, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please hit the likes button, subscribe. I'm going to try not to do videos like this again, just because I know how big they tend to be. And again, no one's going to sit through a 40-minute video of me just chatting it up. But regardless, for those of you that did, thank you for watching, thank you for liking, thank you for subscribing. Hit in the comments down below what you thought of these 2 episodes. And otherwise, I'll see you guys next week for whatever next week's episode is going to be. I'm Caesar Plays, and have a wonderful day or night, and goodbye.